Welcome back. I'm Jocelyn Bamford. My guest today is Louis Jahn, president of Jahn Engineering. Louis, you're also the president of the CTMA. Tell us about your organization, what CTMA stands for, and what it advocates for.
The CTMA, it's an acronym for the Canadian Tooling and Machining Association. And we have mold shops, automation integrators, die shops, anything that has to do with metalworking. We represent these companies. And what we do is we're trying to look for ways to help all of these companies with interaction with government, getting qualified employees, whatever the environments are that these companies all face. What we're there to do is we're there to assist them.
Amazing. In a recent magazine that the CTMA produced, they highlighted the challenges of competing with China. Can you walk us through these challenges?
Sure, Jocelyn. That's one of our greatest challenges in our whole industry right now. So about 20 years ago, a lot of our customers started going to China to buy the exact same tooling that we manufacture here. So they're buying this tooling for less than one half the cost that they would pay here. So how does China do it? Well, we've come to learn that they don't have the same environmental standards that we have. They don't have the same wages. The biggest differential is the Chinese government supports their industry. So it's this artificial support. So what they're trying to do is, China government is very strategic. What they want to do is they want to dominate the world tooling and automation sectors of the economy. So what they do is they artificially support their tooling industry. And I'll give you a real quick example. We sell a piece of tooling for $108,000. Our customer told us that they could buy that tooling in China for $19,000.
Wow.
Just for perspective, our material cost is $29,000. Like, how is that possible? Well, so we went to China, we spent some time there, and we have worked with Chinese tool shops, and we learned that they do all kinds of things. Like there is no environmental standards, first of all. The labor is super cheap. The government gives them all kinds of money. The government gives them all kinds of equipment, material, everything. And on top of it all, what they do is we pay for, this is just an interesting anecdote, we pay for software licenses to operate our businesses for design and manufacturing. And we'll have, let's say, 20 licenses at $10,000 a piece. What they do is they'll have these small shops, they'll have 50 licenses. They don't pay for anything. And the government is supposed to chase them down and make them buy the licenses. And just lately, they say, oh, we're buying our licenses now. So they'll buy one license and they'll still have 50 seats. So obviously, we can't compete with that. On a level playing field, any company in Canada can compete. It's not a problem. We definitely can't compete with China.
Yeah, 100%. And when their companies are being subsidized by the government, that's known as dumping. What can be done about dumping in Canada? Because this makes it impossible for Canadian companies to compete.
And you are correct. You said it well, that if someone's dumping, I tell this, okay, if you're selling donuts and the guy across the street moves in and he says, you're charging $1 a donut, and he says, we're going to sell them for 15 cents. There's no way you're going to compete because your donut input costs are probably about 50 cents. So the only way we can compete, it's not through innovation and technology. We need some sort of roadblock to level the playing field, and that is tariffs. There is no other way to do it. It has to take government intervention to step in and say, okay, hold on a minute here. You guys are dumping. What you're doing by dumping is you're eliminating high-paid, high-technology Canadian jobs. So if they don't do that, all these well-paid high-tech jobs in Ontario and Canada, of course, are just going to disappear.
And isn't it true, Louis, that our trade tribunal have ruled in favor of Canadian manufacturers and politicians have overruled them and allowed the dumping to continue?
To date, yes. And what we found out, though, is in talking with a lot of politicians, they don't even really realize what's going on. They just have no idea. So our job with the CTMA is to educate politicians and say, hey, do you realize that you've probably lost about 40,000 jobs in the last 10 years alone? These are high-paid, high-skilled technology jobs, and they're just gone. That's just the way it is. and that translates to billions of dollars in revenue. There's no way to stop this other than a tariff, because the Chinese government is very strategic and very targeted at dumping tooling.
Yep. So we need to go to break. Don't go away. More to come on Canadian Innovators.